Muse for you, awesome websites without code.
Hey, what's up users? John with Muse for You, here to help you build awesome websites without code. And welcome to the weekly update for the week of January 22nd to today. So the week starts on Monday and then ends on a Sunday. So I do a video every week on a Sunday to let you know what I've done in the past week. So this week I've released the Zoom and Pan Slideshow widget, and I've also released the Crosshair text reveal Hoverbox widget. So I'll quickly touch upon both of these widgets. I'm going to be creating video tutorials that are a bit more in depth, especially for the Zoom and Pan Slideshow widget, but I'll just quickly touch upon them to showcase them and the different things that you can do with each widget. So here I'll open up Google Chrome and I'll type in museforyoushop.com, and here you can click subscribe, and here you can click subscribe now to get access to all widgets and templates I come out with for $39 a year. And right down here we have the Zoom and Pan Slideshow widget. If I click here you can click add to cart to purchase individually, or again you can click subscribe to get access to all widgets and templates I come out with for $39 a year. So this is the first widget I'm going to go over, the Zoom and Pan Slideshow widget. This does replace the slideshow that was in the full screen image and video slideshow widget. That widget is no longer available. So I removed the full screen image and video slideshow as the video wasn't great. The looping of the video wasn't great, so I just removed the video, and then I just worked a bit more with the slideshow, with the image slideshow, so that you can do a bit more with it. And I renamed it to Zoom and Pan Slideshow, which is also called the Ken Burns effect. All right, so I'll go ahead and click on preview so we can take a look at the widget. So here we have the full screen version, and I added a Burns kind of effect to it within the widget. You're able to kind of add this interesting burn before it turns into the image. And we can see it's panning and moving, looks good. And now with this widget as well, you can have a full width or a custom size slideshow. So it just doesn't have to be full screen. You can make it any size you'd like. You can set the width of the progress bar and the colors, and it looks good. So there we have the custom size, and perfect. And it is fully responsive, so you can set it to responsive width and height within your website. Looks good. All right, so I'll go back to the shop and just read a few of the features. So the features included, you can set the size of the slideshow within Adobe Muse. You can add a full screen slideshow. The slideshow can be set to responsive width and height, and stretch the browser width. You can add up to 12 images. You can add a progress bar to the slideshow. You can set the colors of the progress bar. You can add a color or mesh overlay over the slideshow. You can choose from 24 different transition effects for the slide transition. You can set the transition speed. You can choose from 10 different Ken Burn effects for the slide animation. You can set the animation speed. You can set custom transitions and animations for each slide. You can autoplay the slideshow. You can loop the slideshow. You can add custom play, pause, previous, next, and toggle buttons. You can preload images, and it's lightweight for your website. And here's the changelog as well. And here we have a few of the widget options. In the community section, if you had any questions about the widget. All right, so I'll just quickly showcase the widget in Adobe Muse. So here I'll open Muse. I have a blank site. So once you download the Zoom and Pan Slideshow widget, whether you purchase individually or from the subscription, you'll get a zip file, and then you simply extract the zip file. And in that folder, there's a .mulib file, so you double click, and it will install directly into the library panel. So here I'll go to the library panel here to the right, and if you don't see the library panel, you can go to Window and click on Library. All right, so here I'll go to the library panel, and the widget has the abbreviation ZPS, so it's easy to find within the library panel. So you just type in ZPS, which stands for Zoom and Pan Slideshow, and we have it here. So the first thing you want to do when working with the slideshow is place the ZPS at first at the top of the page. So here I'll just click, hold, and drag and place the at first right at the top there. Okay, and then we have the 4 different slideshows. So we have the ZPS slideshow, which is just a custom size slideshow. Then we have the ZPS slideshow individual slide settings. So you can actually customize every slide setting, or for the 12 different slides, you have custom settings for each rather than having a kind of global setting for all the slides. You can work with each individual slide. And then we have the ZPS slideshow full screen. So it adds a full screen slideshow. You can add it above your website, you can fix it in the background, or you can have it at the top of the website as well. And I'll go over that in this tutorial. And then the same, you can have individual slide settings for the full screen. So we have slideshow, individual slide settings, full screen, and full screen with individual slide settings. So I'll go ahead and work with the slideshow, and I'll just click, hold, and drag and place into Adobe Muse. And right away we have the zoom and pan slideshow widget. So I'll go ahead and open it, and I'll just add a few images. So here we notice at the bottom it says the slideshow starts with 4 images initially. To enable or disable images within the slideshow, use the enable image option for each image. So we can notice here, if we open image 4, enable image is checked, but if we go to image 5, enable image is not checked. So if you wanted more than 4 images, you just have to go through, enable the image, and then add the image here within select image. Okay, so I'll go ahead and add 4 images. We'll just work with 4, and I'll just add some of these images here, and this one here. Let me go to 3, and I'll add this one and this one. All right, so just like that, we have the slideshow. I'll go ahead and preview, file, preview page in browser, and we have a nice slideshow for the site. We notice we have this progress bar. The progress bar is really customizable. I can just go into the widget options. So we have image position, transition, and animation. This is where you can control the Ken Burns effects and the speed. And you can set the speed for the first slide, or the transition for the first slide, then transition for the other slides, and the Ken Burns effects, the animation here for the slides. We have Ken Burns up, and quite a few different ones here. And for the transition, we have quite a few transitions as well. So it's a really customizable slideshow, and it could look really good on your Adobe Muse website. Then we have overlay. Again, I'm going to do an in-depth tutorial on this. I'm just kind of quickly touching upon the options. And here we have the progress bar. So if I wanted kind of a taller progress bar, I could set the height here, 15 pixels. I can place the progress bar at the top or the bottom, and I can change the color. So I'm just going to add a few colors from my CC libraries, and so we can use them. So I'll go to the progress bar, and I'm just going to change the color here to something like that, and we'll change this to something like this. Okay, so now if I preview, we're going to have a thicker progress bar, and looks good. All right, you could also disable the progress bar if you don't want one. I could set it to full width. So here in the resize option in Adobe Muse, I can say stretch to browser width to have a full width slideshow, excuse me. And there we go, really nice. I can resize, and perfect. And you can scale to fit as well, scale to fill or scale to fit. I'd recommend scaling to fill because it just looks nicer. But if you go here in the image position and you uncheck scale to fill, when I preview, those images will fit within the slideshow. So just like that. Kind of depends what you're going for. I like scale to fill because you can see the whole image, or the image covers the entire slideshow. All right, perfect. And you can work with the image position as well within these options. All right, so I am kind of going into a deeper tutorial here. I'm trying to keep this video short, so I'll just leave it at that. And actually, I'll showcase the responsive width and height options. So I'll place it right up here. I'll go to the resize, and I'll say responsive width and height. So now if I preview and I resize, we have a responsive width and height slideshow. Looks good. So everything responds to the browser width, or you could say responsive width, and it'll just resize in width. Okay, just like that. Looks good. And you can have custom colors for multiple instances. So if I had 2 slideshows, I could just change the instance number right up here, the first option, and then I could have custom settings for each slideshow, and go to the progress bar and change the colors, just like that. So we'll notice they'll have the same images because I just copied them, but you notice they have different colors for the progress bar. All right, and they're both responsive in width because that's what I set it to. You can also say none for the responsive option right up here as well, and it won't respond to the browser width. Okay, and I just set it for the first one, so the second one's still responsive width, so I'll say none for this as well. Okay, and perfect. I'll set it to responsive width up here, responsive width and height. All right, looks good. So you can have a custom sized slideshow within Adobe Muse. You can have progress bar and overlay color. There will be an in-depth tutorial on this coming soon, probably this week. All right, so that's the custom size and the full width. So let's go ahead and add a full screen. So I'll open the library panel right in here, and I'll type in ZPS. And I'm going to bring in the full screen with individual slide settings so I can just showcase the settings for each individual image. So here I'll click, hold, and drag, place into Adobe Muse. I can place it right below the add first because this widget right here will just add the slideshow to the entire to the entire page. So here I'll open the widget options, and here we have the different positions that we can have for the full screen. We can have it above the web page, so the page will appear below the slideshow. You can have it at the top of the page, so it'll still kind of integrate with your website. It'll just be at the very top, or you can have it fixed in the browser. I'm going to go ahead and leave it above the web page, and we'll just add a few images. So I'll just, again, so you'll notice when I add an image, we have all these options for one image. So this allows you to set the settings for each individual image. You can set the position, you have the image position, and the transition for the image and the animation. So each image can have a different transition and a different Ken Burns effect or animation. So you can really customize how the slideshow progresses through each image. So here I'll just add the different images, and I'll go ahead and just add a few. All right, and 4. Okay, so now when I preview, we have the slideshow there. Looks good, full screen, and the website will appear below. So if I were to add, an element up here within Muse, and I preview, and I scroll, we can see that element is right below the slideshow. Perfect. I could even bring it down a little bit to add some space, and I'll go ahead and preview. And I'll scroll down, and perfect. Looks good. So I'll just work with the different position options just to showcase it. If I were to say fixed in browser, then the slideshow would just stay fixed even if I scrolled the site. So we can see that this element is at the top here, the slideshow is in the background. Now let me add a bit of scroll space just to showcase it a bit better. And I'll preview. And if I scroll, we notice the website scrolls, but the slideshow stays fixed in the background. Looks good. So the last setting, the last position setting is top of web page. So not above the web page, but at the top of the web page. So here we can see we have the element, and if I scroll, so basically it's just being added to the top, but you can still have elements above it near the top. And when you scroll, the site just continues. So basically the slideshow is just placed at the top of the page. All right, so that is the Zoom and Pan Slideshow widget. I will make a tutorial going more in depth into each of the options, but I basically went over a lot of it in this tutorial. In the more in-depth tutorial, I'll go over the play buttons. So you can add previous, next, play, pause, and toggle buttons. So you can create any element in Adobe Muse, and with the graphic styles panel, you can assign these graphic style names to those elements to have them have these specific functions for the slideshow. You can shuffle slides up here within the slideshow and preload images, autoplay, and loop. All right, and you can set the initial slide for where you want the slideshow to start. It's right up here in these settings in the slideshow settings. Okay, so I won't go into too much more detail here. I'll just go over the second widget I released, which was the Crosshair text reveal hoverbox widget. So here I'll go back to the Muse for You shop. I'll go to widgets, and then we have the Crosshair text reveal hoverbox widget. So here I'll click on preview, and it's just a really nice hoverbox to allow you to have this really nice effect over your images in Adobe Muse. All right, looks good, perfect. So you can customize where the text appears from, whether it's in the bottom left, top right, or bottom right, and you can have it in the center as well, the bottom center or the top center. The crosshair is really customizable, so it's just a really fun hoverbox here for your Adobe Muse website. Here are all the features included. I'm not going to read all of this. I'll just quickly showcase it just to save a bit of time for the video tutorial. So I'll just delete the ZPS. And here within the library panel, I'm just going to type in Crosshair text reveal or Crosshair text. And here we have the Crosshair text reveal Hoverbox widget. So I'll just click, hold, and drag. And I'll just quickly add an image in the image section. So I'll click on add file and we'll add this image here. Okay, so you can click on enable link. We have the effects section, the crosshair section. The crosshair, you can set the crosshair color, size, and width. The effect, you can set the overlay color, the image opacity, the effect hover speed, the position on the x-axis, so left, right, or center, the position on the y-axis, bottom or top, and you can reveal from the bottom or the top. All right, and then we have all the text formatting options right down here. So, you can have the text color, font size, font weight, font style, text transform, letter spacing and tracking, line height or leading. And you can also change the font size at a specific breakpoint. You can change the M value so the font gets smaller at a specific breakpoint. Right? Initially the M value is 16, so if you were to change it, let's say to 12 or 10 at the specific breakpoint, you would see the font get smaller once you reached that breakpoint. All right, so I'll go ahead. I just added the image and I'll just resize. You can set the widget container to anything you'd like. You can scale to fill, scale to fit, or leave it at its original size. Similar to filling a rectangle within Adobe Muse. All right, and I'll just place it right there and I'll preview. And right away we have a Crosshair text reveal Hoverbox. You'll notice the text is not formatted. It's really simple to format the text. You just click, or to change the text, you just click on the Hoverbox. And with the built-in text option in Adobe Muse, right up here, you can select any text for the Hoverbox. And I'll go ahead and change the font size. So I'll go to text and change it to, I'll say 2.5. All right. And just like that, we have a nice text reveal Hoverbox. Perfect. And I'll work with the crosshair a little bit. So I'll change the color to something like this. You can change the crosshair size, and I'll make the width a bit bigger. I'll say 10 pixels for the width. And looks good. Let's go to the effect. Yeah, we'll leave the effect like that. And I'll preview. And perfect. So there we go. I'd probably work with the colors a bit, but just to demonstrate that everything is really customizable, I can set it to stretch the browser width. So I can, all the resize option, responsive width and height, or stretch the browser width. I can say responsive width and height. And I'll preview and I'll resize. We can see it's responsive in width and height. So if we notice, if I go to around here, the font is too big. So what I would do in that particular case is in the breakpoint section, I would set it, maybe to 10, the M value to 10 at the 480 breakpoint. And I might even add a breakpoint so that the hoverbox doesn't get too small. I wouldn't want it to get that small. It's still, so maybe I'd add a breakpoint around here and just resize it. So I could do something like, at the 480, just make it a bit bigger so we don't get so small within the site. Let me actually hold down Shift to resize and do something like that. Okay, I'll preview, and there we go. Perfect. So it is smaller, but the hoverbox doesn't get that small because I added the breakpoint and just resize. So here, I would kind of work with it so it doesn't, the text isn't so large for the hoverbox. But that's just working with the breakpoints and resizing the hoverbox at different breakpoints. All right, so we've gone over that. Okay, so I'll just change the position a few times, and then that'll be it for the Crosshair text reveal Hoverbox. So I'll center the text on the X, and we'll place it at the top, and we'll reveal from the top. So it doesn't come in from the bottom to the top, it comes in from the top to the bottom. So when I hover, that text comes from the top to the bottom, it's in the center, looks good. Okay, and then I'll just do one more position, and I'll also change the crosshair color because that's a bit too light. We'll do something like this, and we'll go to the effects section, and I'll place it on the right, and we'll leave it at the top, and looks good. I can also change the overlay color, so let me go into the effect, and we'll do something like that. Okay, and I'll preview. I hover, and there we go. Looks good. I'd probably change the text color too. That's an option. I could just go back in here. Let me pick this kind of lighter purple in the text, and perfect. And I'll preview, and there we go. Looks good. So I'm kind of styling a lot here. I just want to showcase the different styling for the Hoverbox. For the image opacity, I'm going to set it to a bit less. So I'm going to say 0.1. So the image isn't that visible, and we have more of the text and the crosshair visible. So something like that. So now that pops a bit more because it's a bit more visible. The image isn't as visible. All right, so the opacity option, you can set it between 0 and 1. All right, looks good. So I think I've previewed enough and kind of gone through the options quite a bit. If you did have multiple instances with different styling, you'd want to change the instance number here as well. If they all had the same styling, you wouldn't need to change the instance number. But yeah, if they did have different styling, you could change it here so that they don't inherit styling from each other. You can enable link to link out to an internal page, external page, or anchor point, and you can open the link in a new page. Here's where you'll enter the link. You can also add alternative text for the image. So on screen readers, they can say what the image is about. And here we have linking more info. So if you were curious about how to link to internal pages, external pages, or anchor points, it's all right here. All right, so that's it for the weekly update. Kind of went a bit in depth on each widget, but that's okay. I do like sharing how to use these widgets, and yeah, they're fun widgets, and they could really add a lot to your Adobe Muse website. All right, so to gain access to both these widgets, you can go to museforyoushop.com, and here you can click subscribe today, and here you can click subscribe now to get access to all widgets and any new widgets I come out with for $39 a year. Templates are included as well, and we have the Zoom and Pan Slideshow widget, and we have the Crosshair text reveal Hoverbox widget. So here you can click add to cart to purchase individually, or again, you can click subscribe to get access to all widgets and templates I come out with for $39 a year. So that's it for the weekly update. So we have the Zoom and Pan Slideshow widget and the Crosshair text reveal Hoverbox widget. So again, I do this to help you build awesome websites without code. If you like this video tutorial, you can subscribe below. Also in the show more section below are links to other resources and links to museforyoushop.com. So again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video tutorial. Thank you.
Muse for You, awesome websites without code.